Welcome, MnDOT admin users. So you guys have a little bit more responsibility and a little bit more access compared to the regular logged in users. Now, from the front end of the site, you won't really see anything different. It all navigates the same. The one thing that changes is that if you do add a resource, you don't have to have someone else authorize it or publish it, review and publish it for you. Your resources and your events are published immediately. So that is one change on the front end, but for the most part, nothing else has changed. The difference comes in though here, where you can click on this MnDOT Communication Portal or the dashboard drop down, and you get taken to this page, which is the back end of the website. And now you see you have a couple of options down the side here. The important ones are the documents, trainings, videos, and event sets, because this is where you can make edits to any of these resources, where you can review and publish resources that others have suggested and that are in draft mode. And you can also manage the different filters that you see. So if you recall in the library, wrong tab. If you recall in the library, these filters here, the messages, the messenger, the resource types, say you wanted to add a new option to one of these, that you would control that from the back end, back here. So we'll start off by going into documents. So the best way to look at all the documents is to just go all items there. And that brings you to this page. And you can see here that these documents are all listed by the publication date or the last modified date. And so there's this one at the top that's in draft mode. You can see it right there highlighted in draft mode. And that was another user used one of the forms on the front end to submit a resource. And because they don't have full authorization, someone else at the admin level needs to go in and just review and submit the resource. So there are a couple of ways that you can do that. It's the same for documents, trainings, and videos. So I'll just show you here with the documents. The first way, if you know exactly what the resource is and that everything's okay, you can just go to quick edit and you get to do a few quick checks, but mostly what you're doing is going down here to status and selecting published instead of draft. And that will mean that the resource is visible on the front end of the website in the normal library. And then all you have to do is go down, click update, and it's done. Now I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to show you a different way, a way that I think is slightly better to publish these resources, and that's clicking on the resource name here or clicking edit. You have two options for that. So that'll take you to this page where you can see a bit more information about the resource and what the user has submitted for things. So you've got the resource title, description, and it's quite important to just read through the description, make sure it sounds right. This one, for example, would be a really terrible description, so I'd suggest you maybe revise it before you upload it to the website. And it's also important to check any links. Check that the URLs work, check that thumbnails are uploaded properly, and check that resources, if the resource is uploaded, check that that's uploaded properly as well. And if there are any other things you think you should add, you can do that too. You can check the filters that they've selected, which message they've selected, and all that sort of thing. And then once you're pleased with the way that the document looks, you just come over here and you sometimes you'll have to go down here to the drop down and select publish, but most of the time this button should just say publish instead of update, and then it will automatically publish the draft. So I'm going to do that now so that this becomes a published document, and while that's loading we'll move to the library. And so you can see, well, now here that this resource has appeared in the library because it's already been published, and it wasn't there before, sort of thing. So this is the most recently published document, and it'll appear right there at the top. So that's sort of the first big step. Within this edit document page, you can also make any other changes to current documents. It doesn't just have to be ones in draft mode. So now that this is published, you can make any changes you want and add text to the description or other things like that. So if there are other resources on the site where you find that there's an edit that needs making, you can go and do that on the back end of the site. In the library, if you're looking for a specific document, you just go into the search bar and you can type it in, and it'll just filter through them by title for you. So here, you get the temp, you look for the temp, you get it, you can make any edits to that you would like. So now, okay, so the other things that you can do, aside from adding new documents on the back end, editing documents on the back end, and publishing documents on the back end, is you can also edit the filters that are used. So to edit the filters, you just go into Document. You could also do it from trainings or videos. It's the edits in these carry across all three resource types. And so for this one, I'll make an edit to resource types. So you just click on that there, and you get brought to this page here. And so then, say you wanted to add a new resource. I've already started writing it in here, you see. You look at this list and you think, okay, maybe we're missing emails. Maybe someone wants to make an email template and be able to upload, email drafts to the communications portal for others to use in their communications. So you got to go in, you need a name, that's how it's visible on the site. You need a slug, because that's how the site shares information about it on the sort of in the back-end side of things, on the coding side of things. But for the slug, we normally just do a lowercase version with hyphens. As you can see down here, it's really no big deal what it is. You can type in anything for it. And then the last important thing is to add an order. This is a mandatory field because it's required for some of the other filters. But for most of them, all you need to do is add a star in there. That just says that order isn't important. Just put it into the view when it's necessary, which the system knows how to do already. So for these ones, for all of the basic filters, the filters you see in the library, just put a star down there in order. Then we'll add a new resource type here. And now you can see that email has been added. There are no resources yet attached to it, so you won't see it in the library under the filters here, because that only shows resource types that have resources attached to them. But say someone wanted to add a new resource, you could, I'll refresh that. They could scroll down and they could add email as an option now that you've added that to the choices. Okay, so adding resource types, it would be the same thing if you wanted to add a new agency type or add a new message. You'd make all of those changes in the same way that you just did the resource type changes. Now the only one that's different are for adding steps. So that's in event sets when you're adding the steps to these different stages. That's what's visible down here in the schedule. These are the steps, sort of step 1, communication sessions, these different ones. Those are the steps. So if you wanted to add a new one of those to one of the stages, you would do that on the back end as well. You'd go down here to event sets, then you'd select the stage that you want to add the step to. I'm just going to add a dummy step down here. I'm going to say communicate with everyone. And then with this one, it's important not only to have a name, but to also have a description. So I'll just copy that description over. And then also to add an order to your step. Because in this is the situation where the order is necessary for how the steps are viewed. So we've already got order 1 and 2 slots taken, so I'll just add this one in as number 3 and then add it there. And while that is loading, I will refresh the schedule page, and then I can show you how it appears now on the schedule page. So you've got I put it in stage 1. We've got our first step, our second step, and now this one, our new third step, communicate with everyone. So now theoretically, if people wanted to, they could go in and add events into that new step that you've created. And that's pretty much it. That's the 3 things that you can do on the back end. It's sort of adding events, editing and publishing events, and then adding and editing the filters and the steps. So if you've got any questions, let us know, but hopefully you understand a bit better what you can do now.